Okay, mighty warrior, great in battle, Jehovah is his name. And so there are times when we will think that we are losing the battle, but remember that our God is a warrior and all victory belongs to him. Please close your eyes as I pray. Lord, as I come before you, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the creator and the sustainer of the universe, the one that said, let there be, and there was. Lord God, we come before you knowing, Lord God, that you are capable of doing everything that you say you will do. We know that you are a capable God. And so for that, Lord God, we are grateful that we are your children. Lord God, we want to give you thanks and praise for everyone that is here, oh Father. We want to give you thanks for your provision. We want to give you thanks for your guidance. We want to give you thanks, Lord God, for protecting us to and from work, school, and other engagements. Lord God, each time we return home, we should be grateful. Lord God, we want to ask, Lord God, that you may protect us, continue to protect us, continue to guide, Lord God, continue to be our defense, continue, Lord God, to be our comforter in times of grief, continue to be our provider, Lord God, in times that we fail, Lord God, to provide for ourselves. Lord God, I place, Lord God, the parents before you. Lord, I place the teachers, we place the students before you. Lord God, we pray, Lord God, that you may cover us under your blood and protect us, Lord God, from this wicked virus, Lord God. For those, Lord God, who are contemplating what to do, Lord God, I pray, Lord God, that you may give them wisdom and understanding, Lord God, that they may make a right decision. Be with us, Lord God, throughout this orientation and consultation with these parents, that it may be successful and everything we set out to do, Lord God, will be accomplished today. Be with us, Lord God, throughout this day. Be with us throughout this week and the years to come as we tell you thanks to your Son, name, Jesus Christ. Amen. We'll now hand over to Mrs. Campbell.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Campbell Gray. Your devotional is usually very inspiring, and I can say that I was truly blessed again. For those who are just joining us on the YouTube platform, let me officially welcome you to the first parent 2021 to 2022. At this time, we would have our acting principal to address us, but she is presently engaged in a meeting. So I'm just going to go right ahead to our acting vice principal, Miss Alicia King. She is the vice principal in charge of first, second, and third form. Ms. King.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Campbell. Good afternoon, parents. Good afternoon to the students who are joining us. Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon to our specially invited guests. I want to use this opportunity to greet Mrs. Claudette Basco, our president of the PTA, and Dr. Brian James, who will be making a presentation this afternoon. It is indeed with great pleasure that I sit here to greet you, to welcome you to another school year, the academic year 2021 to 2022. For most of you, possibly this is your first time seeing me. My name is Alicia King, and as Mrs. Campbell would have alluded to earlier, I will be the acting vice principal who will be serving your child or ward. I look forward to a great year. I know that as parents, it's the possibility that you may feel a little bit daunted or discouraged with some of the grades or averages that your students may have attained. But as Mrs. Campbell stated in the devotion, that Jehovah is his name. So we're going to put all our concerns to God, and we're going to seek him for advice. In addition to that, there are a number of programs that will be running out of the second year group. I'll be speaking to some of those programs further on throughout the year, but just to let you know that we have this initiative known as the MAGIC program, motivating academic success in students, in children. So we'll be having the MAGIC program. We're going to be having the peer program to kind of quell, eliminate, or mitigate against some of the challenges that would have faced our students, and I'm not saying your students, or students last year. We will not be daunted by what is presented, the obstacles that are presented to us. Here at Morant Bay High School, we're a family, and I want to echo that again, that we are a family. You have the school community here. I am here. Mrs. Campbell is here. The form teachers are here, but also parents. We are banking on your support. So welcome again to our consultation session. Welcome to the students who are now moving on to second year. I am excited about the year. I'm excited about the programs, and I'm excited about the academic development and holistic development that our students will gain at the end of the school year. I look forward to sharing with you further on in the program. Feel welcome, and have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Welcome again, parents. Mrs. Campbell.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Miss King. I know that you will be there in case they have questions for you later on. All right. At this time, I want to officially welcome the president of the PTA, Mrs. Claudette Basco. She will be addressing you at this time.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Harrison Campbell. Good afternoon to our acting principal, Miss Alicia King. I know that Mrs. Ford Bryan is not in the meeting now. Good afternoon to our teachers, parents, and our special presenter, Dr. Brian James. And I know that most of our students by now would know that Dr. Brian James is a past student of the MBHS. I bring you greetings on behalf of the Parent Teachers Association. And let me extend a very warm welcome to everyone to our first parent consultation for this new academic year. The past school year was marked with some successes, and I hope that we will exceed expectation this year. Thanks to the leadership and teachers of this prestigious institution for your sincere efforts and dedication. One of the problems that we encounter at Morant Bay High School is a lack of parental involvement. And for this academic school year, the school, backed by the PTA, is on a drive to increase the level of involvement among the parents. And parents, I'm going to ask you right now, If you are committed, I'm going to ask you to put PI in the chat, meaning parental involvement. If you are committed to be involved in your child's education, I'm going to ask you to just put a PI in the chat. Parental involvement is critical to the proper functioning of the school. It is expected that all parents support all the programs of the school. And parents, we want to hear from you how we can make Morant Bay High School #1 across the region. And you all know already that we are #1 in our region, that is Region 2. I know that most of you parents were very supportive at the primary level. And so I encourage you to do the same. Studies have shown that support tends to be less at the secondary level. Parents, it is at this time that our children need that level of support and supervision for the next 5 to 7 years. When parents are involved, students do better, they perform better academically, and they behave better. Parents, we are going to ask you to monitor the online classes. Some of our children, they have not progressed to the second year. Some of them they have repeated, and this is because they did not come online. And then there are other issues, of course. We expect all our children to exhibit a high level of discipline and follow the online protocols. So although they are online, we expect them to be disciplined. We also want our children and parents to keep healthy and safe by adhering to all the COVID-19 protocols and also the advisory issued by the Ministry of Health. Parents, our children have missed out a lot since the pandemic. And if we are going to return to the physical space, then we must do the responsible thing. And I know that most of you know that our 2 telecommunication providers, they are deficient. And this results in a lot of frustration among our children on the online classes. Online learning comes with numerous problems. A number of our students, they didn't have the devices and also access to the internet. I am making a special appeal right now to those parents who can donate a laptop or a tablet, and you can do so by contacting the guidance counselor or the school itself. You can also share your internet. So those of you who have internet at home, you can share it with the children in the community. I just pause now to share what we have done. The PTA have done since last academic year. It was a very short one, as you all know, but we participated in the 60 for 60 tree planting activity. The PTA also offered 3 scholarships valued at $400,000. The PTA wants to do more for our children as we recognize that the need is very great, that the needs are great, rather. It is with this in mind that the PTA wants to undertake a massive fundraiser so that we can assist our children and also to take on any project that the school desires. I know that this group of parents or second form parents, you are going to get involved. And so I'm going to ask you to give your information to the guidance counselor, who will in turn get in touch with me. Parents, I trust and hope that it will be our resolve to be better parents by being more actively involved in our children's education, and also to establish a better parent-teacher relationship. Thank you. I now hand over to Mrs. Harrison Campbell. Mrs. Harrison Campbell.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Claudette Basco. I don't know, my machine, it just froze on me a while ago. But thank you very much, Mrs. Basco, for reminding the parents the importance of parental involvement. I love that part. And I hope that my second form parents I can hold you accountable, that you will indeed be involved in your child's academic life here at Monterey High School. Because coming next is none other than Dr. Brian James, past student of Monterey High School and expert in the medical field, who will be speaking to us about vaccination. But before he comes, I just remember that I saw a hand before my computer screen was frozen. Althea Panton, do you have a question for Mrs. Basco? Althea Panton? All right, I'm not hearing anything there. If it so happens that you are having some challenges, you can indicate such in the chat and we will try to rectify that. All right, so let me go right back to introduce Dr. Brian James, past student of Monterey School, an expert in the medical field, who will be addressing our parents. He will be educating you about the vaccination program that is currently underway by the government. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that he can have it for his use. Dr. James, welcome. Just let me remind you while he's coming that Dr. James placed a link to a Google form that he wants you to fill out. I hope that all my parents have filled out that form.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Harrison Campbell. I really have to say how wonderful it is for me to be a part of this exercise. I recall when I was in second form, my second form classroom was right by the far end of the GP room. I'm not sure if it's still called the GP room, but the room at the end that is further away from the canteen. That's where my classroom used to be. I don't think there's any room there now, any classroom. And I remember I used to go by the canteen at break time, and I would buy 2 bullets and 2 slices of cheese and a soda and destroy that forthwith. And then for lunch, power chicken and Buckingham orange juice, 1 liter. And that used to be my thing almost every day. And I mean, there's nothing during my formative years that affected me more positively than when I was at Monterey High School. I even recall in second form, I was very, very sure that I was going to get married to my general science teacher. And I mean, I was very serious about it. And it distressed me greatly that it looked as if my TD teacher was also interested in her. I had lots of plans for what I was going to do to his car. But high school was just the most wonderful thing for me. And since I've graduated, I haven't stopped being involved in everything Morant Bay High School. I mean, I'm just always, people are probably tired of seeing me at Morant Bay High School. And I want, you know, the parents, as was being alluded to be very involved in making the school the best experience for your child. I mean, the primary aim is for academic excellence, and we're doing exceptionally well. And I think it might very well be because the parents are so involved. We just wanted to keep that up, and I'm not preaching to those who are already involved, because if you weren't, you wouldn't be in this meeting. But spread the word. I'm really pleased with how the PTA is doing. They're very involved as well. They're a lot more involved than when I was a student, right? So, I mean, all of this bodes well for Morant Bay High School, and I'm so proud. I walk around every day at work and telling them where I go and who got to my school. And every minute you hear Hansa Parchment coming out of my lips, and Gillette Cuthbert and Dion Jackson Miller, etc. So that's my little plug for the school. What I'm going to very, very quickly and sharply go through a few slides related to vaccination against COVID-19. Some things that you should know, right? I won't even go through this slide because, you know, it tells you the entire picture. But one of the things that I think we need to be aware of is that vaccines have been here, I think, since the 1930s, when they started vaccinating against cowpox, right? There are all kinds of vaccines available against primarily viral infection, but a few bacterial infections. So measles, mumps, rubella, tuberculosis, hepatitis, chickenpox, cholera, influenza, rabies, human papilloma virus, etc. So there's nothing new about the COVID-19 vaccine, except in some of them, it is a different kind of technology that is used to create the vaccine. But at the time in 1936 or whenever it was, when they just started, everything was new. And can I tell you that a lot of the things that people are saying now, those are the things that they were saying in the 1930s when the first vaccines came around. This is something that is an ongoing activity for scientists. They're always trying to find vaccines. Right now, they're still trying to find a vaccine for HIV. It's a problem. There are lots of other viruses that they would love to be able to find vaccines for, but they haven't yet. That's the nature of the vaccine story. How does this thing work? You have three things, well, at least two things. You have the immune system, you have the virus, right? And then the third thing that comes in is the vaccine, right? The virus is seen by the human body as foreign. And when it sees it as foreign, it's kind of like the JDF, an army that is supposed to be there to defend Jamaica, the body, against an invading organism, an invading army, the virus. So this defense system is called the immune system, and it's composed of several special cells which fight illnesses like infections by viruses or bacteria. It starts off in the womb, and it is constantly developing as it meets new viruses. The issue with vaccines is that it gives the body the information about the virus before the virus is encountered. So it can prepare, the body can prepare itself to encounter the virus or the bacteria, right? So it first recognizes it, it interrogates it, then it gets a cell, it produces a cell that engulfs it and keeps it there. It releases substances that will kill it, or it will just keep it there, right? And once it meets it for the first time, then it will be able, it is better able to deal with it the second time. The problem with COVID, for example, is after you've met it for the first time, and the same thing used to happen with cowpox or tetanus and so on. When it meets it for the first time, because it's such a severe illness, then the patient will demise, the person will demise, will die. So it doesn't get a chance to meet it the second time. That's the thing about the organism for the first time. So that second time, now, it is able to deal with it, right? When I was a medical student, I used to see, I wouldn't say a lot, but a number of patients with tetanus, right? I used to see quite a bit of them. Now well, when I graduated, maybe a few years after, maybe 3 or 4 years, 5 years after, I saw 1 or 2 patients with tetanus. Since that, I have not seen a single patient with tetanus, right? Because tetanus has almost been eradicated by the use of the tetanus vaccine, right? This is how the vaccine works. It imitates the bacteria using either mRNA or dead or weakened versions of the bacterial virus. It raises the body's alarm and trains the body to recognize and fight the virus, right? Then, when the body encounters the real virus, it is primed and ready to fight. So that's what I was saying. That's what this little picture is saying. The vaccines, the one that we are most familiar with in Jamaica is the AstraZeneca one, right? The Oxford University vaccine development team found that they could elaborate a part of the virus called the spike protein, and they would show that spike protein to the body, and the body will develop its defense against it, right? So they will put the spike protein in an adenovirus, which is a different type of virus, which is harmless, and then they show it the protein, and so the body is able to respond to that spike protein and be ready. And the fact that it is a virus that is put inside of the vaccine is nothing new. Measles is actually a live virus, right? Tetanus, I think, let me see, tetanus. No, not tetanus. There are a couple of them that are live. Polio virus vaccine is a live virus. They just attenuate it so that it does not cause the infection or the disease, but the immune system is able to respond to it. So using a virus is nothing new. The issue with the Oxford is that there is a university. They don't sell things or anything like that. So they developed a partnership with AstraZeneca so that AstraZeneca can make the numbers that would be needed to vaccinate enough people and make sure that it is not for profit. So it is cheap enough that us in Jamaica, we can actually buy it. Johnson & Johnson is quite similar. Now, you would know that the Johnson & Johnson is the one that can be used, can actually be used with just one injection, right? mRNA ones would be the Moderna and the Pfizer, right? It's similar principle, except that instead of making the body make the spike protein by putting a virus inside, it puts the mRNA for the spike protein. So the mRNA is just a sort of production host for the spike protein, right? So normally, if the virus comes in, it will produce mRNA as well, anyway. and use that to make all of its various proteins. In this case, in the mRNA vaccines, they actually put the building blocks for the mRNA, and that is used to make the spike protein. So it's a bit different, but not all that different from the AstraZeneca, etc. There are other vaccines, the Sputnik one, the Sinovac, and the one from Cuba, etc., that are from the same mRNA principle. The issue with approval is that there are varying approval agencies around the world. The FDA is the one in America. The FDA, we in Jamaica sort of follow the FDA, right? So the FDA actually prepared itself to do the approval once the testing was done. So it unlike most other vaccines, because it wouldn't have been a pandemic in which, say, any one of the newer vaccine, the Priorix or the Virix or whatever they are, when they were being developed, it wasn't during a pandemic. So they would use the time, and it'd take a year and a half, 2 years to approve it. In this case, people are dying. So they wanted to make sure that they're ready to approve it once the studies are done and the results are in. And that's what happened, and they were able to approve it in a very short time. Clots are a problem, have been found to be a problem with the AstraZeneca and the Johnson & Johnson. The numbers, however, are extremely small, 10 times less, 10 times, 2,500, 25,250,000, right, 10 times less than the numbers you see when you take the oral contraceptive pill. Oral contraceptive pills, one of their side effects is causing clots, right? Not sure how it occurs, but it is rare. Heart problems, something called myocarditis, has been found with the Pfizer vaccine. It's a very, very small percentage, and it is mainly young males who have developed myocarditis. In all cases, it disappears. I think I recall I know somebody who got it. I don't think he got the Pfizer here in Jamaica, but he got it in the States. Infertility, I don't know where people got that from. There is absolutely nothing to support or suggest that infertility, i.e. the difficulty with having children, is a problem with any of the vaccines. I'm not sure where that came from. Remember, you can't get COVID from the vaccine. There is no COVID virus in it, right? There's no tracking chip in it. There's no microchip in the vaccine. That's impossible, right? And I mean, how would you, when you aspirate in a needle, would you then aspirate one microchip? Or do you put like 1,000 microchips into one person? That doesn't make any sense, right? There is yes?
The parents are asking that you project a bit more, because some of them are having some difficulty hearing you.
Okay, I'll do that. The immune system might not remember the immune challenge for a very long time. It is unclear. This thing has been going on for 9 months. They're not sure all of what it will or will not, how long it will last, right? It seems as if there is some waning after 8 or 9 months, and that is why in the FDA, the CDC is suggesting that people in the States who are immunocompromised might need to get a booster dose. That is not the case. That has not been recommended by the WHO. That has not been recommended by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Variants, everybody would know about variants. The virus tries to change in order to evade the immune system. And it is much easier to spread, and it causes more problems. More people die from it, right? There are many, many variants around, but this is the one that's causing the problems now. So vaccines don't kill the virus themselves. They don't give you COVID. They don't make you infertile, and they don't implant and tracking microchips in you. What they do is keep you out of hospital and prevent you from dying from COVID. You can still get COVID, but one, right now, as it stands, 99% of all the people who are in hospital in Jamaica, same thing in Trinidad, same thing in, where did I see? I think Dominican Republic, same thing in the United States, same thing in Great Britain. More than 99% of all the people in hospital with COVID, with the Delta variant right now, are unvaccinated, right? This is the current situation as of today. Today, there were 355,094 new cases. Throughout the pandemic, 221 million cases have been confirmed. 4.5 million people have died. Just remember that in 1919 or 1819, when the Spanish flu went through the world, 50 million people died. 50 million people died. 4.5 million people have died from COVID, and now 5.4 billion people have been vaccinated. And remember, in China, they have 1.4 billion people. They've given 1.8 billion doses of vaccines. And if you notice, people are not dying in China from coronavirus. So the vaccine works, the vaccines are available. You live in a society that functions best when people are healthy. The more people get sick, the more overrun the healthcare delivery system becomes, and the more difficult it is for even the regular unwell person to get care. More people die. Let us try to answer the questions. I have about 5 questions that well, let me just give you the results of the poll, the questionnaire that I put. Just 1 second, please. So I've received 35 responses so far. I'm going to sort of put them up in a slightly messy way, but forgive me, I wasn't able to sort of go through it properly because it's real time. So when we did it yesterday, we only had 27, so you're better today. Most people in the group would be parents. There are no teachers that answered. Guardian and grandmother are the other sort of maybe 4 people, right? The age range, more than 50% would be above 40, and most of the rest would be 30 to 40 years. I think there may be a child in there. What is your vaccination status? About the same as we had yesterday. Fully vaccinated is 11.4%. It was a bit more yesterday. And partially vaccinated 40, so that's 51.4%. Not vaccinated, unsure of what I'll do. I think that maybe just 1 person. Not vaccinated won't take, that's a quarter, which I think is about the same number as yesterday. And not vaccinated, planning to take soon is about 20%. So that 71%, 3/4 of the people are either fully, partially, or planning to take soon, which is a reasonable percentage given, the situation that is out there. The AstraZeneca vaccine is approved for persons 12 to 17. Most people got it correct. That is false. 1 person said true. No, it's not true. The Pfizer is the one that's approved by the FDA for ages 12 and over. The Johnson & Johnson requires only one injection. True, that is true. And 65.7% of people realize that. A quarter again are unsure, and there are a few people who didn't realize that that is so. So it is true that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine requires only one injection for full immunization. The Pfizer vaccine has to be stored at very, very cold temperatures. That is actually very true, right? -50 is what you can store it as, but once you take that out, it is the only vaccine that has to be reconstituted. You have to use normal saline to mix it. It's a powder that it comes in, and you mix it. It's stored at -50. You have to use it within hours. Stored at -71 or something to that effect, you can keep it for a much longer time. Most people weren't sure of that, so that's information for you. COVID vaccine contains a microchip chip that allows others to track your location. The plurality of people said they don't think so. There's one person who said definitely yes. I'd like to find out where that information came from. 17% of persons seem to be willing to believe it. And maybe not so certain. But the actual answer is that no such thing. Right, so congratulations to those who answered. I mean, you've given me an insight into what the thought processes are. So let me just finish. Wait, where's my? By going through the few questions that I have. I can't find it.
Dr.
Oh, here it
James,
is.
okay.
Yes, I'm listening.
Oh, I was telling you that I was keeping track of the questions, so I would have been able to help you, but since you have found it, go ahead.
Yes, I found it. Are you able to see it?
Yes, I'm seeing the questions that the parents have put in the chat.
You're right. Are you able to see what I'm sharing?
Yes, I'm seeing your screen.
You see a question?
I am
Right.
yes.
Okay, so the first question, is there speculation going around that vaccines are not yet fully approved by the FDA in America? How true is this? It is true. A couple of things about that. The Pfizer is fully approved. That's the only one that is fully approved. They're waiting on all of the data from, what is called events supposedly attributable to vaccine injection. Is SAVI, right? So they get all of those things, and then they decide whether they should fully approve them. They've gotten it for the Pfizer, and they're fully approved that. The other thing is that the FDA is not the only vaccine approval agency in the world, right? The one that we actually take most
to run for going on
of our
taxi.
cue from is the WHO, the World Health.
The what?
And this coming out of the yard,
Is
carry
a
up
what?
you come out the road after 9 and you know left till after
Parents, somebody's
Everything I got bad full up. We don't have a route for ourselves. We don't have a route for ourselves. So
Parents,
Zodre Grant.
please mute your mic. Thank you.
You can go ahead, sir. Your mic is muted, Dr.
Right.
James.
Right. Okay. There's speculation. Well, I started answering that one. I hope you heard the first part. Second part is that we take our cue on the vaccines, particularly from the WHO, right? The WHO has approved Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, and Sinovac now. So I think we might be able to get that. What else? There is another, Johnson & Johnson. So they've approved 5 of them, right? Not fully emergency use authorization. And that is in a situation where you cannot wait for the final phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 trials, which indicate the efficacy and indicate the safety, and you would give emergency authorization. This is what we're working with now. It's not fully approved. All right, next one. If you're allergic to penicillin, can you take the vaccine? Yes. The one major reason why you might not be able to take the vaccine is if you are allergic to the components of the vaccine. If you're severely allergic to the components of the vaccine. So if you've had a vaccine and you developed a severe allergic reaction, then you make sure that you know the components of that vaccine and compare it with the vaccines that are around to see whether or not you're allergic to any of those components. What are the long-term effects of being vaccinated or not? The long-term effects of being vaccinated are, I'm only aware of a couple positive ones. One is that you are less likely to contract COVID. One, you are less likely, if you contract it, to die from it or need to be hospitalized from it. Not being vaccinated is the converse of that. You might catch COVID, and COVID is associated with a lot of long-term side effects, including death. Is it a must that the child has to be vaccinated before going to face-to-face? I don't know. Somebody else would have to answer that. If I refuse to allow my child to take the vaccine, would she not be able to access education? I do not know. I doubt it. You would probably not be able to access face-to-face education, and this applies to all of the other vaccines anyway. All right, so that completes what I need to say. Over to the moderator.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. James. Are there any more questions for Dr. James? Ms. McPherson, did you pick up any other question in the chat?
Is it, somebody asked, is it true that the vaccine stays in your system for only 6 to 8 months? No, it stays in your system for a lot shorter time than that, right? In a few weeks, it's gone. What is left is the immune system response. And it is believed that the immune system response, well, it is clear that it lasts at least 8 months. We're not sure whether it continues for much longer than that. In the Israelis have found that the Pfizer starts to wane after 8 months. Why can't we get vaccines made from attenuated virus available in Jamaica? I'm not sure what that question is asking. We do get vaccines made from attenuated, not the COVID vaccine. There are no COVID vaccines made from attenuated virus. Why are they still requesting that you be vaccinated? This is a very good question. Why are they still requesting that you be vaccinated if you're if you already got the virus. All right, so the answer to that is that what was happening, certainly in the first year, is that they noticed that people who got the virus only had immunity up to 3 months. So after 3 months, they're able to get the virus again, right? And people are getting reinfected after 3 months, and that is why they realized that the vaccine lasts, the immunity lasts up to 8 months. So clearly, what they were saying is you wait 3 months when your natural immunity will help you, and then you get the vaccine so that you have at least another 8 months. So you will have sort of 11 to 12 months worth of protection, right? There are some studies which are showing that the initial infection does last a bit longer, but they're looking at those studies, and they might at some stage recommend that you only get one shot after you've had the COVID or whatever. I don't know what they're going to recommend, but this is the reason why it was recommended that way. If you are infected, this is a very common question. If you're infected with COVID and take the vaccine while infected, what is the likely outcome? The likely outcome is just like if you weren't infected, right? The likely outcome from the vaccine is just like if you weren't infected. The likely outcome from the infection is just like if you didn't get the vaccine. Will these vaccines need to be taken on a yearly basis since it only lasts for a few months? That I don't know. Nobody knows until all the studies have come in. The flu vaccine is administered yearly. It is less effective than COVID vaccine, and it doesn't last as long, right? So we don't know. Almost all vaccines need boosters. We don't know how many we're going to need for this. Suppose a child had a respiratory infection back then. Can that still take? I'm not sure. If you have a respiratory infection at the time when you're supposed to get the vaccine, don't bother to take the vaccine. The reason for that is that if you have a respiratory infection, when you get the vaccine, some of the side effects of the vaccine look like a respiratory infection. So everybody will become very confused. They don't know if it's a respiratory infection or is the response from the vaccine, right? So wait until the respiratory infection is gone, and then you take your vaccine. I don't see any more. Is the virus man-made? I have no idea. I don't weigh in on those kinds of things. Not sure how I would know that. Since your symptoms get worse on each flu shot, do you think it will be the same for COVID? Well, that is not true. That is predicated on something that is not accurate. Your symptoms do not get worse on each flu shot. I've had flu shots and I have 0 symptoms. When I got the COVID vaccine, I had 0 symptoms. When my wife got the COVID vaccine, she had 0 symptoms. When my sons got the COVID vaccines, both of them had no symptoms whatsoever. If you are being treated for blood clotting, I assume this means, can we still take the vaccine? All right, so that one, what I would say about that question is you need to discuss that with your doctor, right? If you have deep vein thrombosis or pulmonary embolus and you're being treated for it, then you need to discuss it with the person who's treating you for it to determine whether or not it's appropriate to take the vaccine. There has been no report of this clotting issue with the Pfizer. So if I was being treated for a clot, I would go and take my Pfizer. Is there any way to treat the virus naturally? I'm not aware of any. I don't know at all. Will there be a problem if I'm not comfortable with my child? Don't know. I wonder if Mrs. Ford Bryan could answer that. Since the vaccine is not able to help if I get the variant, are they going to create stronger doses? What is going to happen? That's not true. It has been shown that the vaccine protects you against the COVID variant. What are the Delta? Against the Delta variant. That's what they found in Malaysia. That's what they found in Israel. That's what they're finding in America. It protects you not from necessarily getting the virus, but from getting sick, from being hospitalized and from dying. It does, but that's what they found in the United Kingdom as well. If you contract the virus, how soon after can you take the vaccine? As soon as the symptoms have cleared up, right? Once you don't have any symptoms anymore, then you can take the vaccine. Do not take it while you're still having symptoms of COVID. Is it true that if kids do not take the vaccine, they cannot attend school? I cannot answer that. Any more questions? May I get boss now? By building your immune system, then our body will be able to fight against the virus, I assume. I don't know. I'm not understanding. I think this might be the natural thing that is the same person, Alisa Martin Beach. All right, somebody asked, since it's for emergency use, why are we practically being forced to take it? Well, I tried to explain that before. It has been shown to prevent you from needing to be hospitalized or from dying. That is, and the people who are being hospitalized and are dying are destroying the healthcare system at the moment. We cannot handle it. There are nearly 800 people in hospitals now, and we weren't even prepared for more than about 200, I don't think. So people are just, if you came to KPH or, well, Bustamante is not so badly affected. Children do not appear to be getting, well, with the Delta variant, it's changing, but it doesn't appear that they got the other variants as badly as adults. If you were to go to KPH or university and see people there suffering, barely able to breathe, we're trying to give them oxygen, and because we're giving them high flow oxygen and there are so many of them, the oxygen is running out. Last week, in the second wave, every hospital in Jamaica ran out of oxygen except Bustamante. Everyone. That is why they're practically forcing you to get the vaccine. And I mean, I don't call it forcing. I think they're telling you that, listen, this is what is going to save us. This is what is going to make us be able to open the economy and so on, and, you know, have a normal life again. I don't know what people must tell us. If you're having allergic reaction and not sure what caused it, can that person take the shot? Yes, right? Allergic reaction by itself is not the issue. The issue, there are two issues. One is severe allergic reactions, i.e. collapse of your cardiovascular system and hospitalization and wheezing and closing off of your airways till you can't breathe. That's what is meant by severe allergic reaction or anaphylaxis. And the second thing, it is allergic reaction to the components of the vaccine. This should be a choice and not mandatory. Okay, that's fine. That's noted. All right. So I think we've gone through many of the questions. I haven't seen any more yet. Right. So thank you all for being so attentive and for being interested enough to actually ask a lot of questions, a lot more than yesterday, I might add, and a lot more people answered correctly in this group than in yesterday's group. So I think coming to Moran Bay High School has really made a difference. Right, those people were just coming in. Next year they will be brilliant. All right, thank you. Over back to you, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
good evening. If you're diabetic, can you be vaccinated? Let me just answer this one. I don't think I answered it. So the simple answer is yes. And in fact, if you're diabetic, you should have the vaccine first, because you are the one who is at greatest risk of being hospitalized or being a mortality statistics if you get COVID. My father, he is 85 years old. I mean, he's the most probably 85-year-old you'll come across. And he lives in White Horses. And on the first day, he's diabetic, taking 2 medications. On the first day that he became eligible for the vaccine, I went on the website, I signed him up. And he went to Princess Margaret Hospital. It was originally in Yalas that he was supposed to get it. When he went, they weren't ready. So we took him to Princess Margaret and he got his first shot, went back for his second shot, never had any side effects, perfectly fine. Right? So the answer is yes. I'm glad you asked.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. James. I could see the chat flooding with a lot of questions.
For real.
Yeah, parents, they are like that, I can tell you. And I knew that they would have held you for a very long time. Thank you so much for shedding some light on this controversial topic. Appreciate your presence here with us this afternoon. I hope, parents, that your questions have been answered and you have a clearer understanding of the vaccination drive that is going on presently. If you still have questions, then you're going to have to keep putting those in the chat and we will address them at a later time. Miss Francis is ready and waiting to address you. You can see her on your screen. She is the guidance sister for second form. She is the person that loves to hear your troubles and will sit and try to find a solution for whatever it is, whatever challenges that you are having. And I must tell you that she has an interest in ensuring that our students are online, they have their devices intact, that the Wi-Fi or the data is available for them to be online. So if the children are not online, Miss Francis will be giving you a call and will be asking, why isn't so-and-so online? Because she wants to see all second formers actively engaged in the online process. I will now hand over to you, Miss Francis.
Thank you for that introduction, Mrs. Harrison Campbell. Good afternoon, colleagues, parents, and guests. I do hope you're having a blessed day thus far. My name is Lafay Francis, the guidance counselor responsible for second form for the academic year 2021 to 2022. I am no stranger to some of you because we would have had some interaction from the last school year. It is a pleasure to continue to serve you as we all will work tirelessly towards securing a brighter future for our children. As usual, we need your support for our programs to be a success. I just want to encourage parents to continue to be supportive to your children, and especially in this time when they have to isolate themselves from what they are used to. Please take the time out to encourage your child or ward, find out how they are coping in this time, how they are doing, as well as you can plan activities at home that will help them to unwind and to be a bit more relaxed. The guidance department will continue to provide parent empowerment sessions. This session will provide you with tips on how to protect your mental health and tools that can be used in your everyday lives. We plan these programs with you in mind, so we hope that when we send out the invitations, you will accept and actively participate. The guidance welfare program is still active. If you are experiencing any challenges, please parents reach out to us and we will try our best to assist. Don't stay there and suffer silently. No man is an island, no man stands alone. And at the Mark Bay High School, we cater for all stakeholders. So if you're experiencing challenges, please reach out to us. I expect that all parents will have a contact number for their child's teacher. And this way you'll keep abreast with what's happening in your child's life, as well as I'm encouraging parents to pay attention to their child online learning. If you're at home and you can check in with them from time to time, please do so. Ensure that they are actively engaged in their classes as well as they are participating. I know that we are living in tough times, things are hard, but we can do this. Just keep praying and believing that God will deliver you, because He will. These are my few words. I know, and over to Mrs. Campbell. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Francis. So true. Once God is in the midst, we can weather any storm. Thank you for those encouraging words to the parents. The acting principal, Mrs. Marsha Ford Brown, she is in the meeting with us. I will invite her to address you at this time.
Go ahead now, Miss.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to my parents. Good afternoon to my year coordinator, Mrs. Harrison Campbell, guidance counselors, Mr. Logan and Miss Francis, vice principal, acting, Miss Alicia King, all other stakeholders. I came in just in time to hear Dr. James speaking with us all and answering some very pertinent questions. I know definitely that you have been in very good hands, and I have been in meetings since morning, but I could not resist. So I had to be in this meeting to actually greet my second form parents. I also noticed that Mrs. Basco, our PTA president, is also with us. So welcome as well, Mrs. Basco. I want to say to my parents, welcome to our 2021-2022 school year. And I know that you are here with much anxiety. You are here with much enthusiasm as well. And you're also here with some amount of uncertainty, as we all are. But what I want to assure us today is that as we partner with each other, let us lean on each other's shoulder. We don't all have all the answers to all questions, but when we put our heads together, I want to believe that we are able to solve most, if not all, of our problems. Before I go any further, though, I need my parents to just place in the chat one word that will describe how they are feeling at this moment. Just one word. Just type it in the chat. Whatever comes to your mind based on your emotions, based on your feelings. I'm just gonna ask you to just type that one word, because what we are trying to do this year and what we want of all our stakeholders is that we want to change our narrative, change our diction, change our expressions from negative to positive. And once we start exuding positiveness, then we will actually see this reflecting in all areas of our lives. But it does not take away from the fact that we will be experiencing negative emotions, but are we going to dwell in it? No, we are not. Because I believe, and persons around me believe, that there is a solution to every problem. You might not find a solution just now, but eventually we will have that solution. And I see my parents are typing up a storm right here. I am seeing emotions, words such as sad. I'm seeing okay, very concerned, blessed, uncertain, tired, thankful, confident, hopeful, concerned again, hopeful, concerned, thankful, unsure. Now, these are all normal reactions given the environment and the times that we are in. We don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't know what next week holds. But what I want to say to us this afternoon is that we are alive, we are here, we are now. And we are here now because the Lord has a purpose for us. And because we have not yet fulfilled our purpose, we are still alive. We have whatever resources we have access to. What I want my parents to do is to use those resources to the best of your abilities. If you have daytime light and you don't have electricity in your home, this is where I am going. This is how practical things are becoming these days. If you have daylight light through the sun, I'm going to ask that you utilize your daytime by utilizing the sunlight, doing what you need to do. Encourage your child to do the same, because when night comes, you don't have electricity in your home, so you are not able to do what you need to do. Now, this is how we make use of our current resources. Yesterday, you will have things. Tomorrow, yesterday you would have had things. Today, you might not have what you would have had yesterday. Tomorrow is also uncertain. Utilize the resources that you have. Many of us are waiting until we have everything in 100% quantity before we think we can do anything. I'm asking you to look around you and be grateful for what you have. Those are some of the additional words that I am seeing. I am seeing trusting God. I am seeing thankful, grateful, hopeful, still one and two uncertain coming in the mix of it. We are crossing over, or we are in fact living in uncertain times, and we have to make the best use of it. We can't roll over and play dead. We know that one of the major concerns of our parents are that we don't have the devices, we don't have the internet connectivity. I just got a news that there is a parent with about 6 children, and she has one device, and she has logged on 4 students, 4 children on one device, but the other two can't go on because there is no way you can log on 6 persons on one device. So she is now calling to find out what can be done. We know that these are some true and some real difficulties and challenges. What we don't want as Mark Bay High School family is for you to keep these to yourself. Say it to us. Speak to your coordinator. I know she listens to you a lot, Mrs. Harrison Campbell. Speak to your new acting vice principal, Miss Alicia King. Speak to your guidance counselor, Miss Francis. Reach out to me, reach out to the form teachers once you start getting access to them, and don't keep these for yourself, because what we have done thus far is that we are partnering with some stakeholders. We are partnering with our alumni. We are partnering with the PTA. We are partnering with private sectors. We are partnering with all sorts of organizations to see exactly how we can come up with the necessary resources. Help us to help you. And if you, our parents, can give even 1 or 2 devices because you have 5 at home, then we welcome the sharing and we welcome the partnership. I am not going to tell you that this year is going to be easier than last year, but I am going to tell you that the partnership is going to be closer and it is going to be tighter. So, what I want you to do is to bridge that communication with us so that we know what is happening and how we can reach out. Please do not stop your child from being online without us knowing. Communication has to be the key. I am just getting out of a meeting with principals in the region for Region 2. And I am telling you that some of the difficulties that some other schools are experiencing, Mark Bay High School is doing well comparatively. But can we do better? Certainly we can, because the sky and even beyond it is the limit for us. We are going to continue on this positive notion, on this positive narrative. And wherever we turn, we know that there is going to be an answer to our question. I'm going to ask you not to lose hope. I am also going to ask my parents to cling closer to God more than ever before now. These challenges that we are experiencing are preparing us for a reward greater than we can even imagine. Challenges really do come to make us stronger. I am new in the post, but I'm telling you that I am energized and I am facing the bull face head on. I am well energized knowing that I have persons around me who are of the same vision, who are of the same mindset, and know that if other institutions can do it, then we can do it also and we can do it better. But can we do it alone? So I implore you to keep the partnership going. If you have suggestions, please feel free to pass on those suggestions. We are here to ensure that our students in St. Thomas, our students in Morant Bay High School get the best education possible so that they can be the 21st century students, and wherever they go worldwide, they will continue to make their mark. Help us to make that a reality, because of ourselves, we know that it is impossible. But when we merge our resources together, anything is possible. I trust that you will take these words to heart, and I trust that you will take them to true meaning and you will put them in practice. We are here to serve you. We are servants leaders. So it means, therefore, whatever is possible, we will make it happen as long as you share with us. I'm going to ask that you continue to make the flag of Morant Bay High School fly high. We are here to take our institution to the next level, even in the midst of challenges. We will not be deterred. We are moving full speed ahead. We will seize all opportunities. We will seize the day and we will use all the resources possible to make it happen, to make our students succeed. Nowhere else do we have this level of dedicated staff other than here at Morant Bay High School. We have proven it over and over. So I pray that God will continue to bless you. He will continue to keep us as an institution as we move forward to fulfill our goals and our objectives. Do have a wonderful rest of the evening. Do have a wonderful rest of the term. And I look forward to working with you as Morant Bay High School parents as we take this institution to the next level. Have a great day. Back to you, Mrs. Harrison Campbell.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ford Bryan, our acting principal. Let me also point out that she is also a parent of second form. So I think she will be staying with us a while. Will you, Mrs. Ford Bryan?
Yes, I will. I will be staying here for a while.
Okay. So parents, if you have questions for Mrs. Ford Bryan, could you please ask or put them in the chat? All right, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. That means that everything was clear. Just want to reiterate, challenges come to make us stronger. So we know that the days ahead, they are very uncertain. We make plans and we realize that we have to erase these plans, but with Christ in the midst, we can smile at the storm. Let me go straight into, if I can find my agenda. The introduction of our form teachers. Now parents, form teachers, we know how important they are. They keep the year group together and they have worked tirelessly last year. But I want you to know that not all the form teachers that we had last year will be with us this academic year. Some changes have occurred. Last year we had 12 form teachers. This year we have just 6. All right, because we expect that our students are more mature and are able to adjust to the system by now. I'm going to ask my form teachers to show themselves to you and introduce themselves as I call their names. The form teacher for 2M is Miss D. McPherson. Miss McPherson.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, parents. I'm Miss Delrona McPherson, the form teacher of 2M and also math teacher. I look forward to working with you and to have a good interaction with you throughout this year.
All right, thank you so much, Miss McPherson, form teacher for 2M. So parents of 2M, a class list was posted in the 2 WhatsApp groups. If it so happens, parents, that you're not a part of either WhatsApp groups, I'm going to ask you to indicate such in the chat. Mr. Logan can assist me by putting a link there for you to join one of the 2 WhatsApp groups. If you're already a part of either groups, you don't need to rejoin, just for those who are not a part of the 2 WhatsApp groups. So the form teacher list is posted in the WhatsApp group. So all the parents of form 2M, Miss McPherson is your form teacher. She'll be taking 2M1 and 2M2. All right. Now, if your child was in 1M last academic year, then naturally your child is going to be in 2M this academic year because we did not do any shifting. There are additional students to the list because we have some new students, but we did not shift any student from any form to another. So if your child was in 1M last year, then your child is going to be in 2M this year. Let me introduce to you the form teacher for 2A, Mr. X Smith.
Pleasant good afternoon, our stakeholders on this platform. My name is Xavier Smith. I'm a teacher of visual arts and the form teacher for 2O.
Oh, 2O.
Yes, I'm looking to have a fulfilling academic year and also looking forward to working with all of you, each and every stakeholders. All right.
All right, thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith is a form teacher for 2O. Now we're going to have the form teacher for 2R, Miss S. Oakley.
Yes, good afternoon, parents. I am Miss Oakley. I'm a math teacher, and I'll be the form teacher this year for 2R1 and 2R2, both of them. Yes, so I am looking forward to working with you, parents. I do hope that we'll have a productive school year. Please feel free to share your queries with me as we work together to work through the issues that might arise. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Oakley, form teacher for form 2R. Now the form teacher for form 2A is Miss Y. Mayer. That's 2A1 and 2A2, Miss Y. Mayer. Is Miss Mayer in the meet? I know she was with us earlier. I don't know, she got bumped out due to connectivity issues. All right, I'm not hearing from Miss Mayer. I will introduce her to you if she so happens to rejoin. The form teacher for 2N, Mr. D. Davis. Mr. D. Davis, form teacher for 2N.
Where is he? I don't see him.
He was with us earlier, probably having, I am also having internet challenges, but I have not been bumped off, thank the Lord. So probably he's having some challenges also. Let me go to 2T. Mrs. Campbell Gray, form teacher for 2T1 and 2T2.
Good evening. My name is Carol Campbell Gray, and I will be your form teacher for 2T. I'm also the HFLE teacher as well. I am looking forward to work together for the betterment of your child.
All right, thank you. Miss Campbell, I see you have fixed your camera. Lovely. All right. Still not seeing Mr. Davis. Miss Mary is having audio issues. So, Miss Mary, are you able to turn on your camera so they can see you? All right. She's probably having some challenges, but the form tutors were able to introduce themselves to the students this morning. But the internet is not as stable now as it was this morning. So if it so happens that you don't meet your child's form teacher at this time, you'll be able to meet your child's form teacher Monday morning, because that is when we will officially start our online learning. Monday morning at 7:50, all our students are expected to be online at 7:50 a.m. sharp. Parents, I'm asking you please to ensure that the students wake up on time. I know that they have been spoiled over the summer holidays. They wake up at any time that they so desire. You don't pressure them because they're on holidays. Know that school is going to commence Monday morning at 7:50 a.m. I'm asking you please to ensure that you wake them up early. Let them be a part of registration. Then let them be a part of the devotional exercise. But don't say, okay, you're not forgot registration, and you're not forgot devotion. And then when they are to log on to their classes at 8:30, they still have challenges. I'm going to ask you, please respect the activities planned by the institution. So if they're expected to be online at 7:50 a.m., please ensure that they are online for registration and ensure that they participate in the devotional exercise. And then their classes at 8:30 a.m. Punctuality is very important. Now, we do understand that sometimes the students get bumped off because of the instability in the internet. We are aware of that. But we are also aware that sometimes they get bumped off and they just go to do something else and don't bother to try to get back on. This is where you come in, parents, in order to provide that kind of supervision. If it so happens that you're not at home, so you're not able to monitor them closely, you can give them a call, a telephone call. Which subject are you having now? What is the teacher saying? Just to ensure that they are online. Sometimes they will tell you that they are online, but they are actually not online. And that is why it is important that parents get a copy of their students' subjects, all the subjects that they will be doing. Let me just stop sharing this screen and go right ahead to share this one. All the subjects that they will be doing, students are doing 18 subjects. And so 3 of the subjects they will not be tested on, that's HFLE, guidance, and LISP. But they will be tested on 15 subjects. All parents must have a list of the 18 subjects that your children are taking. No, when classes begin on Monday morning, ask them who is the teacher for each subject. So you have an idea as to what subject they're having, the teacher. Also, get a copy of the timetable when we make it available to you. That being said, the timetables are ready, but we're not yet ready to distribute them because we have to ensure that everything is perfect before we can actually do same. So when you do get a copy of the timetable for your child, keep it in your office where you work or in your bag so that you will know that today my child is doing this subject, that subject. So you call, you should be having English now. What is the teacher saying? Just to ensure that they are logged on the online platform. We realized that attendance was an issue last term. And because of that, we find that some of the students did not do as well as they could have done because they were not attending classes regularly. Some parents have complained that when they call their child, the child says that the child is online, only to find out that that is not the case. And that is why I am imploring you to ensure that you do a check to ensure that they are online. Converse with the form teacher. Know what is happening in your child's life. All right. For this academic year, we have 242 students in the year group. The class list is in the WhatsApp group, so you can check it there. 242 students that are in the year group that have been assigned to the 6 different forms. Ms. Mayor was supposed to address you on attendance and punctuality, but she's having some internet challenges at the moment. So she will not be able to do so. And that is why I've given you just a short charge to ensure that your child attends school punctually, regularly. We do not know when we'll be able to have face-to-face interaction. But when you practice them to follow the school, the outline from now that they are online, you will find that the transition to face-to-face will not be difficult. So when you practice them to wake up early and to log on at 7:50, they are getting into the mode just in case the ministry says we're able to have face-to-face interaction, then it will not be so difficult for them to adjust to the new system. I'm going to invite Ms. Oakley to speak to you now shortly on clubs and society.
All right. Can you allow me to share the screen? Just a moment. Yes. So good afternoon again, parents. No, I won't be too long because this is a document that has been shared in the different parents groups. So you can always go back to the different groups and go through in your own time. But I'm just going to mention that it is very important for your child or ward to be active in extracurricular activities or co-curricular activities. And this is why we are encouraging you to reach out to your child or ward to inform them of the different clubs so that they can choose which one is best suited for them. All right, so extracurricular activities are very important. As we all know, this is where students can get to build a rapport with their classmates outside of the classroom settings, because this is where you can find individuals that share their interests, and so they can grow amongst each other. All right. Other from that, extracurricular activities can help students to maximize on the opportunity to develop their skills and talents. All right. They can learn leadership skills. They can learn communication skills from these various clubs. And last but not least, extracurricular activities would serve greatly when our children will enter into the world of work. Some of these skills that they would learn in these activities can help them to build good rapports with their fellow workers in the future. They can also help them to develop leadership skills so that when they get into these positions, they can contribute greatly. All right, so this is just a list of the different clubs and societies that are offered by the school. So if you feel please, If you feel pleased, you can take a screenshot of the screen that I have here. So I'm just going to list out all the clubs. You have service clubs and groups. So we have Alpha Leo, Climate Change Action Club, Tourism in Action Club, Girl Guides, Outreach, Big Brother, and the Sister Society. We have peer counselors. We also have sport teams, track and field, football, table tennis, cricket, and netball. And there are also skills and interests clubs. These are choir, drama / theater. There's also art, 4-H, junior achievers, cadets, chess, health and fitness, inter-school Christian fellowship, ISCF. And last but not least, we have the academic clubs, which consists of the science club, mathematics club, the BARD, Society of Cultural Awareness called SOCA. We also have quiz club, debating society, poetry club, and modern languages club. So please, you know your child best. So based on the talents or interests that your child has, you can encourage them to join any of these clubs. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Oakley, for doing such an able presentation. Let me remind your parents that this is posted in the WhatsApp group. So if you need additional information on the different clubs, you can check the WhatsApp group. I think I saw something in the chat. I think a parent is concerned about the classes. Am I correct? Let me check. Okay, yes, I think I'm seeing where parents are, sometimes the complaint is that no teacher is in the class. I think I'm seeing that coming out in the chat. If Mrs. Ford Bryan is still here, I'll ask her to address. Is it for you? Mrs. Ford Bryan, are you still hearing me?
Yes, Mrs. Harrison Campbell, I'm here. What was that question now?
A parent is concerned about teachers not showing up for classes.
Okay.
I'm trying to find.
All right. Right. Okay, I can address that. That is in fact a concern. And before I even get into that, I would like to ask another question too. Do we believe that internet connectivity and device issues are only challenges for our children or our parents? And I want you to respond to that in the chat as well. The fact is, we do have some teachers who are living in some areas where they are in fact having some serious internet challenges. We have said to our teachers, if you are having internet challenges wherever you live, then you will need to make your way on the school compound. But I must also say to you that on the school compound, we do have internet challenges as well. So I have been on the school compound and I have been in meetings where I have been disconnected because of internet challenges. We have had some teachers too who have been using their personal devices, and their personal devices have become worn out. And so we have had to give teachers or lend teachers devices. And so that transition would have left them out of devices. What we are doing now is that we are partnering with other stakeholders to see how best we can have devices for teachers in the event that something goes wrong with theirs. And so we will be able to better assist. But as it relates to, for example, even now on no movement days, when teachers have to remain at their homes, and if their connectivity is not as stable as we would want it to be, then of course we are going to experience those problems. I am not negating the fact that wherever we go in this society, we do have persons who are very tardy, and we do have persons who don't live up to certain expectations. Our intention is definitely to tighten the reins, wherein we have teachers who are being very delinquent in carrying out their duties. But I must add that majority of, of those classes that you will see without teachers at any one point in time, it's usually as a result of genuine issues. And these genuine issues will have to do with internet connectivity and device issues. We have said to our parents over and over that we are not charging school fees at Mark Bay High School. Comparatively, in any other high school you go, you hear of fees that are scoring into 20,000, 30,000. We are asking for parental contribution. And if each parent at Mark Bay High School will contribute $3,000, $2,000, or $1,000, there are various resources that we could garner for ourselves so that we are not left wanting. The gap is not there wherein our children are going to be affected. So in fact, we could purchase some very devices that our teachers can use in the event that their own personal devices are not there. So I have never given the impression that Morant Bay High School is perfect. We are, however, thriving for perfection. Everywhere we go, everybody is affected by the pandemic. Everywhere we go, we have internet issues. And this is one of the reasons why my camera cannot be turned on, because if I turn on my camera now based on my internet connectivity, then you will not be able to hear me. So every community, we have our challenges, and more so some communities more than others. For example, the very deep rural communities. I'm just coming out of a meeting and I did ask a question concerning what about my students who are living in the Cedar Valley area? What about my students who are living in the Chiswick area, in the Bath area, in the Landui area? Some of these areas you can hardly have cell phone, get access to using your cell phone when compared to being online. These are some of the prudent questions that we are asking that we are not getting the ready answers for in terms of what is being done to ensure that there is equity right across the board and that we have the necessary infrastructure that we need to carry on the online platform. But I strongly believe that everything takes time. Rome was not built in one day. And so I continue to reiterate the narrative that if we partner with each other and if we share each other's burden and we contribute what we can, many of these challenges that we are experiencing as a school, we will not be experiencing as many of them as we are. I strongly do hope that that answers a part of the question, but I'm also saying that as an institution, we are also putting into motion the substitution process, wherein we know early, based on our supervisors, who are the persons who are absent. And so we will have persons filling in online to ensure that the students actually have work to be done online and that they are not there in the classroom on their own. Then again, that is also dependent on the resources that we have at that point in time to stretch right across, because we have not gotten additional full-time teaching staff. We are still stretching the same number of persons who we would have. So there are certain challenges that we are trying to work through, but we are working through them nonetheless. And I also want to say to our parents, there might be instances in which classes are without teachers that we are not readily aware of. What you can do to assist us, again, I am changing the narrative, is to reach out to the form teacher. The form teacher will reach out to the supervisor. The supervisor will get to the VP who is responsible for substitution, and we will work at it assiduously to ensure that that issue is taken care of. Okay.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Ford Bryan. I'm seeing a hand there from Mrs. Claudette Basco.
Okay, good afternoon again. I understand that teachers as well as students have connectivity issues, but the parents would prefer, if that is the case, that the teacher would indicate that they are having such issues. And the issue of teachers not attending classes, that is a real one, Mrs. Ford Bryan. And I know that the government had said that teachers who are having issues, they should turn up at their school. I know that there are internet connectivity issues everywhere, but it cannot be of that frequency where teachers consistently do not attend classes. And I know that the parents who are talking, they're not talking like a one-off or two-off situation. I know that there are instances, because I've been getting some of those complaints from those parents, but I know that we are going to have dialogue, Mrs. Ford Bryan, so we will deal with those issues. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Basco. I don't know if Mrs. Ford Bryan wants to say something based on what you just said. Okay. All right, parents, we do hear your concern.
You are a bit Harrison Campbell, but you were saying if I wanted to comment on what Miss Basco is saying. Well, but in my comment, right, you were?
My internet is unstable. Did you hear what I said?
What were you saying?
Okay, I was asking if you wanted to comment on what Mrs. Basco said.
Oh, certainly I can comment, because I think in my discourse I would have hinted more or less what she would have said. I am not making an excuse for my teachers. All I did was to speak to all elements and all areas. And I do know that it is a grave concern. So it is not as if I am treating it lightly, but I have already spoken to the fact that there are current measures that are in place for closer supervision and monitoring of certain things. And I did speak to the fact that teachers who are encountering difficulties, that they should be at school where the internet is in fact a little bit stabler. But I must confess that the internet connectivity on the school grounds is also an issue. And we are also in deliberation with the ministry as well as the Past Students Association to see how best we can ratify that situation. Back to you, Ms. Harrison Campbell.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Ford Bryan. Are we okay now, parents? Are there any more questions? All right. If there are no more questions for our acting principal, I want to really thank you for addressing the concerns of the parents. Now I'm going to be allowing our acting vice principal for the year group, Ms. King, to take the floor. Ms. King?
Thank you, Mrs. Campbell. Good afternoon to parents who would have joined after I did my greetings earlier. I will not exhaust this topic, the role of parents, because I'm certain that Mrs. Campbell would have alluded to some of the roles and responsibility of parents. So did Mrs. Basco and Mrs. Fort Bryan. But I just want to zero in on a few things. I know that as a parent, you know some of the basic, well, you know, and you are ensuring that the basic needs of your child is met. You provide them with food, clothing, shelter, and that emotional support. But I'm asking also parents that you help to monitor these students. We can do so much. I know more from our side, especially now with this virtual online platform that education is now taken. We need your help in ensuring that students log in to classes on time, that students are attending their classes. I recall that earlier this week, I called a parent and I was expressing with the parent the average of that particular student and was sharing that, you know, we really need to do something to see what we can do to ensure that the grades of this child increase. And the parent was saying to me, Miss King, I cannot understand why this child has this grade, because the child has devices, they have internet. I leave them and I go to work, and when I leave, I am leaving my child with the device in front of them. But it is, after investigation, it is understood that as soon as the parent steps out, the child put down that device. Parents, I'm begging you. I know that many of you have to leave for work in order to support them financially, but if it is that you can get a friend, a family member, a relative to ensure that these students log in on classes, it will be greatly appreciated. When you get home from work, I know that you're holding us responsible for what is happening on our end, but I also ask two parents that you take some sort of responsibility too for those who are not doing it. I know I may be preaching to the choir now, but for those who are not doing it, check in with the students. Oftentimes when teachers are not there and they share with you that a teacher wasn't there, teachers are encouraged to put work in the class stream. Do not allow your child or ward to say that there is no assignment. 1 week past, no assignment from 15 or 18 subjects. A month past and no assignment, check in with us. Collaborate with us, share with us, pick up the phone and call me, call Mrs. Campbell, call the guidance counselors, call their form teachers to ask what is happening. So we ask for that partnership, we ask for communication, we ask for collaboration. And even if it is that you don't understand a particular topic or subject, because there might be parents who don't. My mother did not have a high school education, but she ensured that even when I got home, even to take up the book and turn it upside down, that she's checking that something is there. And as soon as I said that, I want to share with you, I know many of you would have watched the movie Think Big or read the book Think Big, with the child, Ben Carson, who would have run for president a few years ago, is a neurosurgeon. And it's a true story that at the time when he was in grade 6, he was at the very bottom of his class. He could not read, he could not spell, but with the encouragement of his mother encouraged him to go and read outside of the content area. And with the more he read, the more his vocabulary expanded, the more he learned, and he climbed to the top of the class to graduate as valedictorian. What am I saying in all of this? Parents, please provide that support that your child wants. Speak with them, share with them, ask them what is happening in their life. We are here to support your needs. This whole thing of education is a cycle. We have the students, we have the teachers, but parents, we also need you. Again, I may be preaching to the choir, but I will preach on. And for those who are not in the church service this evening, I ask you to pass on this message with them. So check in, ensure that they're attending classes on time. And I also want to speak about our attitude, or the attitudes that parents or guardians portray to these students. Children are like sponges. Whatever you do and say around them, they soak it up. If it is that you have an issue with whatever policy, whatever is happening at school, reach out to us, share your concerns with us. That is the only way that we're going to know what is happening, and that is the only way that we can work together to alleviate some of these concerns. Be mindful of how you share concerns and how you discuss situations that as it pertains to the school, especially the negative ones. I know that education is the priority, and if it is that it was not, that you would not be here this afternoon. So as it pertains to devices and internet issues, I encourage us to do all that we can to ensure that our students have their devices, to ensure that they are logged in for their classes. And if it is that you are having difficulties, again, reach out to us. Again, let me share a story with a parent. I would have said to the parent, your child only did 2 exams for the last report. What happened? Miss King, we did not have any devices. I said to the parent, who did you share this with? No one. Did you share with the form teacher? No. Did you share with the year teacher? No. Did you share with the guidance counselors? No. You have to communicate with us. There are times and instances where the ministry may send us devices. We have a close-knit partnership with our alumni association. From time to time, we get these gifts, but we cannot assist if it is that we do not know what is happening. Speak with us, collaborate with us. Again, I want to ask for your support. Your support in all we do, the support for our rules and regulations and policies, your support in terms of activities, your support. Do not only log on when there is a meeting called by Mrs. Harrison Campbell. Initiate something. If there is something happening in a form class and you want to discuss, support us, give us ideas and suggestions. We are a team. We are a family with our core objective is to achieve the highest and best potential for your child and ward. I want to encourage us again, for parents who are being that role model for your child, continue to do so. There are some families or some students, unfortunately, that do not have that role model in their community. Be role models to not only your child or ward, but be role models for everyone in that community, so that we can have children who are very developed socially, holistically, and academically. I end again by using the 2 P's. I beg of you, Mrs. Claudette spoke to PI and parent involvement and asked you guys to post that in the chat. But for me, it's P squared or PP. I crave your partnership, and I crave your participation. And together with this circle, together with this family, together with me, with Mrs. Ford Bryan, with Mrs. Harrison Campbell, with Miss Francis, with your form teachers, with you and your skills, your expertise, your knowledge, we can boost the students. We can have them being the best versions of themselves now, but it is going to take teamwork. It is not going to take the teachers doing one thing and then the parents doing another thing. It's not going to take the parents saying this about the teachers and the teachers. No, it's going to take collaboration. It's going to take collaboration. So I end with the 2 P's. Well, I'll end with the 3rd P: partnership, participation, and prayer for a wonderful, successful academic 2021 to 2022 year. Thank you so much, parents, for listening. And Mrs. Campbell, I hand over to you now.
Thank you so much, Ms. King. We are here in partnership, we are here in participation, and we are here in prayer. And I just want to also include parental involvement.
Yes.
All right. All the messages we have received since this afternoon, we have really been fed. Mr. Davis, are you in the house? Mr. Davis? All right, now Mr. Davis put together a presentation on how to upload an assignment in the Google Classroom, because we realized that many students had a challenge last academic year. This presentation is placed in the WhatsApp group, so it is made available to you. We will also be putting all of this information in the year group classroom when this is set up, so that all our students will have access to that information. So how to upload an assignment in the classroom, that is posted in the WhatsApp group, and also how do you access your report online? Because quite a few parents had challenges accessing the reports. The highlight of the presentation this morning that Mr. Davis did was that the same number that you use for the student ID is the same number that you use for the password. Once you enter the password, then there will be a dialog box that comes up that is going to ask you to change your password. Oh, he's here. Mr. Davis?
Yes, thank you. I was just allowed to unmute. Good afternoon,
Okay.
parents.
Yes, take over.
Okay, so Miss Campbell was just sharing with you the presentation that I did this morning. It is made available to you in the WhatsApp group. Already some parents have been viewing it. And I also must say that one parent sent me a text to say that thanks to the video that I did, he was able to go through the report or to view the report, access it and view it today. And he's still having some challenges. Wants to talk to us about the averages, needs to know how the averages are calculated. So I told him that I'll refer him to you, Miss Campbell, so that you maybe can take up that part of it, because I too am having challenges on how the average and the system is calculated. You know, it doesn't seem like it is done the regular way. So that's basically what was discussed this morning, and as said before, the presentation is available in WhatsApp, and even how to upload your assignments so your children will be able to view those presentations, and you can view them with the students and help them to better able to hand in their assignments and upload documents and so forth, so that we can get better results from them as the time goes by. So that's basically it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Davis. What I know is that the average is usually calculated with the number of subjects, but they are to look at the exam grade. So the exam grade that is posted for each subject, what happens is that a tally is done and then it is averaged with the number of subjects. Miss King, Mrs. Ford Bryan, can you back me up here?
I did something like that with a number of them, but we're still not getting what we are seeing for the average.
Okay.
I think it's the same concern parents have.
I'll have to personally do a manual calculation in order to really speak to that. So once I have discovered evidence for myself, then I'll be able to address same.
I think I can speak to that a little.
Okay.
There is a difference between how the online calculation is done. That's quite different from the desktop version. So the desktop version that we have, that we would have access to on the server on the school compound, is different from the online aspect of it. The online aspect does the average in terms of everything, inclusive of classwork as well. So that is the comprehensive average that you will see take place on the online version. Now, the parents would not have access to the desktop version that we would have access to. So currently, what Mr. Senior, our systems admin right now acting in that position, is doing is that the provider of the My School Jamaica system he's in dialogue with him to ensure that what we see on the desktop version is what is actually shown on the online version for the parents. So we are currently working on that. He did some manual changes. So some year groups are in fact reflecting the actual average that will reflect that of the desktop version. So we also need to bear in mind that this system is a relatively new one, but the averages are not that significantly off from each other. But there is a difference, and we are working on that. So I don't know if that will clear up some of the issues that are there surrounding that. But we found that out most recently, that what we are seeing on the online version is different from what is on the desktop. And it happens for all students right across the board. So no student is actually at an advantage when compared to another, because it is done for everyone right across the board.
All right, thank you so much for that, Mrs. Ford-Brand. I hope that that has been clarified now. I am seeing a message here from Latanique Thompson, I think it is, saying that my child is always locked out of her MOE account. Do you mind providing us with more information? Is it that the password is not working? You're unable to log on to the classes? We need to know, so that if it is the case that you need a password reset, we have that arranged for you. It would be good also if you give us the name of the child. Ms. Thompson, when you're able, can you provide us with more clarity, please? I'm seeing here, how do I get the ID number? The form teachers provide the ID number to the students. Don't know. I was told that it's the same number that they use for the login. Their MOE can't confirm that. I've not done a check, but you usually get your ID number from the form teacher, and then you will use that as the username and the password.
Will it be that it will be something different this year?
You're talking the ID number?
It seemed to be the password. It seemed to be the password.
The student ID will not be changed. And it is what you use for the password until you manually change the password.
Miss Campbell, I think Miss Thompson is referring to the email for her for the student's password. Because on a number of occasions for last school year, she would have contacted me. So it had to be reset, maybe sometimes two times for the week. So so you are referring to something different than what she's speaking about.
Oh, okay, it's a different problem there. Okay, Mr. Logan, you will enlighten me after this meeting. Do you know the name of the child, Mr. Logan?
Yes.
Okay, all right, you'll enlighten me after this meeting. Exactly what she's referring. I think I saw Mrs. Ford-Brand unmuted.
Yes, I was going to just comment on what that parent was just saying until Mr. Logan clarified. But even what Mr. Logan said, we have to be very mindful, parents, of the devices that the students use. Sometimes if too many persons are logged onto a device, then the device captures or retains a password or an email, let me say email, and so it bumps off all other emails, and so the account for the child has to reset. And this is why we encourage that we can't have too many persons using one device, It is not encouraged because it causes a lot of problems. And whenever that happens, it is pretty much one person at the school who sends that information to ministry, and then they reset and send back to us. So what we want is to ensure that the child preserves that email and that it's one device that is locked in with that email. So it is a little bit more sustainable. When you have different emails being used for the school purpose, like you have a child who goes to primary school and goes to high school and they are both logged in, then there is confusion on the device as it relates to the email address. And so one account is compromised at the expense of another. So that is one of the major issues we are having that is requiring a whole lot of reset of the email addresses and the password accounts.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Ford-Brand. So parents, we have to try our best to ensure that we secure the device for the child, because for you to be asking for a reset quite often, it can cause challenges. So try and see how best you can secure a device for the child as device with the original MOE account, because there are times when if there's another email account on the device, it gives some problem to get into your MOE account also. So the MOE account has to be the primary account, email address on the device. All right. I was addressing some issues in the chat. I think we have covered it there. Are there any more questions before I go into the exam analysis?
Mrs. Harrison Campbell, I am seeing a question about ID numbers. You had addressed that one, right? In terms of the form teachers being able to give out the IDs. However, seeing that it is this late in the year, which I thought that most of those queries would have been dealt with, if there are still parents who are having difficulty re-ID and password, you can place it in the chat. I'll pass on the information to Mr. Senior. He can do a reset and we send it back to the persons so that they can access the reports, because you really need to see your child's report. At this point, it is very late if you have not seen the reports.
Yes. Thank you for that, Mrs. Ford-Brand. So please put it in the chat, parents. And let me also say that for the reports wherein there are 1 and 2 corrections to be made, you won't see the name of the child on the analysis sheet here, because this analysis was done based on information that would have been provided to me. I'm trying to remember the exact date, about a week or so ago. There were some parents who contacted me afterwards about querying grades, wrong grade being entered. Like for one parent, the wrong grade was entered for a particular subject. Child had 53 be reflected on the report when it should have been 70 something. In a situation like that, you would not find that that correction would have been reflected on the analysis that I'm doing now. So if you have personally done the average of your students' performance and you realize that the child made the honor roll and the child's name is not on my list, I'm going to ask you to just indicate to me via WhatsApp or in the chat or whatever it is, whatever means you're able to do so. Just let me be aware so that I can adjust this presentation that I have now before I post it to you. Okay, parents? What I will be presenting to you now, we have had a very long afternoon, and I know that we have held you for quite some time, so I'm just going to get right to it.
Ms. Campbell, could I say something before you go ahead, please?
Okay, go ahead.
All right, as somebody asked just now, as it relates to devices for students who are on path, please note when we get the request from the ministry for students, names to be provided for devices as it relates to students on path. We request this information via the groups from our parents. When the ministry asks for the information, we send it to them and they send the devices. Last year, devices were provided for students in 4th, 5th, and 6th forms. No devices were provided for students on path for lower school. So please, we do not have, well, nobody said that, so let me not say that. But when the ministry provides the devices, if you realize a number of times, messages would have come in asking for persons, whether on path or not on path or without a device, to provide the names. And your persons respond to the messages and you provide the names of the students. When this is provided, we send it off to the ministry or whoever is asking for the information. Once we get the devices, then they are issued. We still have not received any devices for lower school students on path. As soon as we get the request from the ministry for names of students who are on path in lower school who do not have a device, then either the form that you would have filled out, the Google forms that ask for the information, that information will be used, as well as requests will be made via the WhatsApp groups for persons who are without devices or on path to provide the names, and then this information will be sent to the ministry. So if you don't see that message coming in or you don't see the request coming in for persons who don't have a device, that means there is no means to provide a device because the ministry has not made any available.
All right, thank you, Mr. Logan. Just want to let you know, parents, that the students have been placed in houses. However, we have a few new students and we need to put these students in houses before we can share that list with you. So once this is done, we will share the list with you because you're going to need to know which house your child is in order to know what color PE gear to collect. We are making the arrangements also for you to pick up the PE gears at the school. Once we have finalized the dates and the time, we will post in the WhatsApp group so that you can be informed. All right, let me go straight into the analysis. What I did, I looked at the performance of the mid-year test and also the end of year examination, and I did an analysis of the averages. When that was done, I discovered that 27 persons from the year group made the honor roll in the mid-year test. The student who came out on top is Ramor Brian with 88.9%. 27 of our students made the honor roll at that time. Now for our end of year examination, we had 31 students making the honor roll in the end of year examination. The student who topped the year group is Khalifa Clark with 90.3 for her average. What we find is that of the 240 students last academic year who sat the exam, 90 of the students got 55% and above. 27 got 75% and above. When the student gets 75% and above, the student is automatically placed on the honor roll. So we find that of the 240 students, 27 were placed on honor roll from the mid-year test. 90 got 55% and over. 55% is the benchmark for the institution. You pass a subject once you get 55% and above. If you get under 55, then it means that you would have failed the subject. For the end of year examinations, we had an increase from 90 students to 114 students who got 55% and above. We had an increase from 27 students to 31 students who got 75% and above. So we find that our students in mid-year test. I think for the 55% and above, we have an average of 10% increase in performance for the end of year examination. The top 3 students in the year group, based on the end of year examination, are Khalifa Clark with 90.3. She's coming from 1R. Joanna Thompson, 88.3, and Brianna Kogel with 86.1. Are any of these parents in the group at this moment, in the meeting at this moment? Are any of these parents in the meeting at this moment? All right, seems as if we don't have any of these parents in the meeting at this moment, but I must say, parents, congratulations to the students who have done extremely well and who have been placed in the top 3 positions. The top student for 1R is Khalifa Clark with an average.
Ms. Johnson, Mrs. Campbell.
Yes.
I think Khalifa's parent, I think, is in. Stacey and Johnson Clark says yes.
Oh, she is in
the chat.
Oh, she's in the chat.
Yes.
All right. Congratulations, Stacey and Johnson, you're saying? Stacey and Johnson for working very hard with Khalifa. We know that it must have been hard work for her to do so well. Do you mind saying a word or two as to the preparations that you made for Khalifa to perform at this level? Is she able to speak? While that is being sorted out, let me move on to the top student for 1R is Angelina Leslie with an average of 83.4. For 1M, Keifa Willis with an average of 82.4. And 1O, Kyra Stanley with an average of 79.7. And for 1T, we have Liam Wright with an average of 79.4. And 1N, Samoya Campbell with an average of 77.2. Congratulations, parents, and we do encourage you to keep working with these students. Now for the subjects, the students who top the subjects for the end of year examinations, we have Liam Wright, who got the highest grade for BDP, practical, and social studies, 94.5 and 95 respectively. We have Helen Walker, who got the highest grade in BDP theory, integrated science, mathematics, and geography. He scored the highest in these subjects. Congratulations to the parents of Helen Walker. We have Rodney Dixon getting the highest grade for English literature, 89.3. Shanna Martin, she got the highest grade for English language with 97.1. Hallie Murray, she got the highest grade in home and family and industrial techniques. We have Nikayla Lawrence, who got the highest grade in music. Ramor Bryan, who got the highest grade in physical education. Liam Wright, who got the highest grade in social studies. Brianna Kogel, who got the highest grade in Spanish. And for visual arts, we have Joel Davis and Anthony Bowden. Religious education, Shanila Hood. We say congratulations to these students and their parents. Okay, noted, Miss Clark. Noted. Oh, yes. All right. So don't want to keep you long, parents. Any questions on the presentation? All right, no questions. All right, let me say congratulations again to all the parents. I know you have worked hard with the students in the most difficult time, and you must feel proud this afternoon to know that your hard work has paid off. Continue to do what you're doing and to do even better to ensure that our students continue to excel. For the parents who didn't hear the name of his or her child, I'm going to encourage you to work hard this term. I saw when one parent said that she had device issues. We are aware of the challenges, but as was said before, please note that if you're having challenges, please say something. Speak to us and let us see if we can indeed work together to ensure that we give our children the education that they deserve. If there are no questions, I'll take the final word from our acting vice principal and then our acting principal.
Okay, before I give the final word, I would love Miss Panton to send a contact number. I need to speak with her. I sent her a private message in the chat, so I need for her to respond to that. Okay, so if go ahead, Miss Harrison Campbell. Is there any questions? Anything in the chat?
I'm sorry.
Okay, so there are persons who are still saying that they are not seeing their child's report or they didn't get to see it. I did say initially that you need to send the child's name, preferably the form, the specific form. What I have done, just to know, I have sent off information for Renee Rowe. I have also sent off information for Rakeem Graham. Those are the two, and I think there is a third one that I sent off the information. So if you are just merely saying that you can't view the reports or you don't have the ID, I can't assist without a name so that I can send it off to the relevant persons and get the information. And through Mrs. Harrison Campbell, you will get the requisite details as to how to log on and to view those reports. So information is very important at this time. Again, I'm asking that Ms. Panton tries to send her number through a private message so I can contact her. She seemed to be having some grave issues that I need to speak with her about. Kimberly Small and Jervon Miller, thank you. I will send those off as well.
Just to answer the question, I think the person's name is Donovan. Will there be a WhatsApp group for teachers? The form teachers will be setting up their different WhatsApp groups, and you'll be able to communicate whatever challenges you have with them right there. So the form teachers will create their groups, and this will be shared with the students and the parents.
Okay. Mrs. Harrison Campbell, I'm going to ask that you assign someone to look in the chat and document these names for me, please, because they are coming in quite quickly, and there are quite a number that I was not anticipating that so many persons were having problems in viewing their reports. So I'm going to ask that you develop a list, have someone, one of your form teachers, document these names now so we can send them off to Mr. Senior and have him reset the passwords. I do hope that these parents are sending in these queries because they have tried and the passwords are not working. I got couple queries this morning, and when Mr. Senior went on the system, it was a case wherein these parents wasn't first form parents nor second form parents. These parents have never checked on the system for their child's reports since their child has been entering Morant Bay High School. And I find that to be very disappointing. So I do hope that you have tried and the password or the ID is not working. And if you have not logged in on the system for over a year, you are going to have problem. And Mr. Senior will pick that up once he goes on the system if you have not been on the system to check your child's report. So we are imploring parents, and this is the participation that we want. You have to participate. I know that some parents are having difficulty with the technology, but try to log on at least once so as to activate the ID and the access code. So, Ms. Harrison Campbell, can you say if someone is documenting the names right now?
Yes,
Because at the pace that this is happening, I can't keep up with this, with sending it off to Mr. Senior like this.
Ms. Oakley is presently documenting.
And
Okay,
I'm also documenting so that we can go run the list together too to see whether or not we have all the names. So I'm also documenting.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. So my final words to my parents, I want to congratulate you and your child on the remarkable job that you have been doing over this 1 year period. The mid-year report, progress report, and the end of year report is reflecting that you would have done some amount of extra work with your child because the statistics are showing that we are seeing an increase. I know that it takes a lot, and many of the children who are in fact doing well are from families that I know are hardworking. They have to go out, they have to work, they have to put everything in place. I'm saying that hard work does pay off, and I can attest to it. Once you lay the foundation, then your child will be held accountable. You don't necessarily have to hold a big stick over your child once you have laid that foundation. And I am speaking based on experience. I have two children attending Morant Bay High School, and thanks be to God, they are in fact doing well. There is room for improvement, but I can safely say that I can call and I can check in and I can be at work and I can say, are you online? Are you doing your work? Do you have assignments? And when I come home and I check, I see that the assignments are done because there is a structure. It didn't start yesterday. And it didn't start last week. It started at the foundation. But what I'm saying to you, parents, if you had not started before, you can start now. Make your child accountable. You don't have to hold the big stick if you are firm and you practice that tough love. You see, I measured it. It is tough, but it is a love, and they will know why you are doing what you're doing. But do it with passion and do it with love and do it with care, and they will know why they have to be accountable to you. It is possible. It can happen. I am thanking you so much for working with your students. And as Mrs. Harrison Campbell said, if you did not see your child's name here this term, there is another term and another term after that. And we know that there are children who they bloom late, but once they get the foundation, they will make it happen. So if it did not happen this term, please do not give up. It is another opportunity for us to dig deeper and reap the benefits. So we are here to give you all the support. We ask for your partnership. I can't say it even more. It has always been that partnership that we are craving for at Mark Bay High School. We can do this and we can get the best out of it. So I'm just going to ask that you communicate. I have seen in the chat wherein there are persons who said that they have reached out to their form teachers and they have done that on numerous occasions and they have not gotten through. We are in fact going to reiterate with our form teachers and we are going to have some serious dialogue and communication that, of course, this is not the image that we want to be out there for Morant Bay High School. However, if you call a form teacher and you don't get through, there are other persons that you can reach out to. Reach out to other form teachers that you know of. Reach out to your coordinator and get what you have to get done. Don't give up. Be persistent. And in being persistent, I want you also to be tolerant and to be conscious that teachers are human beings as well and that they have their children as well. So please don't exploit the platform. When the time reaches, for example, 9 o'clock or 8:30 or 7 o'clock, think twice before you call the teacher to ask about work-related matter, unless it is absolutely an emergency. Some teachers will say to you that you can call them up to 7 o'clock, up to 8 o'clock. I'm going to ask that you respect that. Respect that not all teachers will be able to accommodate your calls at all times. And once we respect each other, then we will go a far way. Do have a wonderful evening and the rest of the school term. I look forward to continued service.
Thank you, Mrs. Ford Brown. Ms. King?
Thank you, Mrs. Campbell. Just want to say to the parents that I'm looking forward to a productive, fun-filled, wonderful year, and also for us to put in practice those 3 P's: per, participation, and partnership. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. King. I think we have really had a productive meeting and we can say the time has been well spent. So parents, I'm going to implore you to walk good and to walk always with Christ. I want to say thank you to Mr. Logan, who has dedicated his day to facilitate this meeting for us. Thank you to the acting principal, to the vice principal, to the PTA president, to Dr. Brian James, to the Past Student Association, and all my hard-working form teachers who have worked really hard to ensure that we had a productive day today. So thanks to everyone. Thank you, parents, for being here. I know we have had you from 3 and still some of you remain with us until now. I'm really appreciative of that. It shows that you are interested in your child's well-being and you want what is best for your children. So as we partner together for the new academic year, whatever challenges that you have, feel free to bring them to us. People normally complain that they call me and they can't get me. Please understand that I do have children and they use my phone for their WhatsApp classes. So therefore, if you call me, you may not get me indeed, but send me a WhatsApp message. I may not answer you immediately, but I eventually get to them. So the same I will say for the form teachers. If you call and you don't get the form teacher, then I invite you to leave a message also, because sometimes when I must tell you that when we check our phones and we see the number of calls, we cannot return them. So if you can't get us, it is wise to leave a message. And then we can always go back to the message and act on whatever it is that is there. If you send a message and you don't get a response, don't say, Miss did not respond to me. Sometimes we have other persons around, our children may enter a message by mistake and we don't get to see it. So just send the message again. We are here to ensure that our students do very well. So please, whatever issues you're having, share with your form teachers, and your form teachers will share same with the rest of us. So have yourselves a productive day, and I wish for you all the best.